Hi everyone, I just got home from work, so I want to make a quick and easy dish for dinner tonight. As you can see, I have my wok out, so that means we're going to be doing a stir fry. And one of the popular dishes that most people order when they're at Chinese restaurants in the United States is called beef broccoli. You probably ordered it yourself. I myself don't eat beef that often, so what I do when I make this dish at home is I substitute the beef with chicken. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's kind of go over the ingredients. It's really pretty basic. So normally we would have the beef, but like I said, I don't eat red meat that often, so I'm going to make this a chicken broccoli dish. So here I have chicken breast that I've cut up into cubes, and we have about 2 chicken breasts, so that's about half a pound. And now we're going to marinate it so that it'll be sort of tasty when we're cooking it. I always start out with a little bit of white pepper, so ground white pepper, about a teaspoon. And then I put sesame oil because I just love the flavor. It's really fragrant. About a tablespoon. Of course, you have to have soy sauce. Right now I'm using a low sodium soy sauce. So this is also a tablespoon. And finally, the last ingredient is Shaoxing wine. I use this a lot in Chinese cooking. This is like a rice wine, and about a tablespoon as well. If you don't have that, of course the main ingredient is broccoli. So I have here a head of broccoli. So this will probably be, my guess is about 2 cups of broccoli once we sort of get it all set. So what I like to do, of course I kind of cut off the bottom, and then I sort of peel off some of the edges. Okay, so what I did after I took off some of the skin is then I just kind of cut these into little florets, or just a little. Alright, I got my broccoli all cut up into little florets. So see how much we got from that? And then that's pretty much all you have in beef broccoli or chicken broccoli that we're making tonight. The other ingredient that's sort of a traditional ingredient is ginger. I have here a few slivers that I diced up really fine. If you want to, you could grate it. That way you won't get that much. What I do for this dish to make it a little different is I add mushrooms, just because I get kind of bored just eating broccoli and chicken by itself. So I like to get some nice cremini mushrooms. And just okay, here I have my wok, and I've turned up the heat. I put in about a tablespoon of canola oil, just a very plain vegetable oil that won't add too much taste. And we're going to start by cooking the chicken first. So I have a medium-high heat. To tell if the oil is ready, I sometimes will drop just a little bit of the ginger, and you hear that sizzle, you know you're totally ready. And of course my pan's totally hot. So we start by throwing in all the chicken. I don't want to create too much of a splash, which is why I'm just doing a little at a time. And also, I don't want to throw in the marinade, not too much of it, because we don't want to have a lot of moisture. So we have our chicken in the wok, and we're just going to spread it out to give it some room to cook. I'm going to put the big pieces in the middle. And what we're going to do first is pretty much browning all the sides of the chicken pieces, and this should take about 2 to 3 minutes for each side. I've turned the chicken around, and you see it has that really nice brown color. A lot of that color comes from the soy sauce. The trick is not to turn it around that often, because if you do, then you're not going to get that nice sort of searing. But you just want a little bit of color, and after you've cooked it for a while, then we're going to remove it from. The first thing we're going to cook is the mushrooms. So I add all the mushrooms that we diced up. That's because the mushrooms going to give out some moisture. So I don't really want that moisture near the end of my cooking process. So I want to help the mushrooms sort of get out that moisture. So the trick with that is adding some bit of salt. You can either throw in soy sauce. I'm going to put in a pinch of salt, and this salt will kind of help extract some of the moisture. Now that we've been sweating our mushroom for a bit, you see how there's moisture coming out from the mushroom. We're going to add our broccoli, which is the only other ingredient. Oh, you know, I forgot the ginger. The ginger actually would have been good around the time the mushroom was added, but it doesn't matter. We're just going to throw it in. Because really now, we're working on all the vegetables. So we're going to stir fry the broccoli a little bit just to kind of get that going. I can smell the ginger now. That smells so good. Now what I'm going to do now is add a bit of moisture. You can put a bit of water, or what I'm going to do is add some chicken broth. What that's going to do is create a steaming effect, and that's going to help our chicken broth. And you hear that steaming? Now I like to season my vegetable as I go, so we know we seasoned our mushroom, but none of the broccoli got any seasoning, so I'm going to add a pinch of salt now. Stir that all around. And then now what you can do is you can cover it and let it cook over a medium-high heat for maybe about 3 minutes just to soften the broccoli. And then we're going to put everything back together with the chicken. Okay, our broccoli has been cooking for a while. Ah, that's hot. So it softened a bit. Now we're going to add back in the chicken. Actually, I'm going to switch to my wooden spoon. I think that'll help a lot. Alright, and now we're near the home stretch, because basically our chicken had been cooked earlier. Even though it wasn't cooked all the way, it's going to cook now for another few minutes with the vegetables. So what we're doing is we're allowing all the flavors now, the chicken juices and the broccoli, to meld together to make one cohesive. So here's the cornstarch that I had, about a tablespoon. And I added some water. You can also add chicken broth if you want to give it more flavor. And you just want enough to kind of create a slurry. And the trick, again, not to make it super gloopy, is to add a little at a time. And also, make sure your heat is up high, because the higher the heat, the faster the cornstarch will react and start to harden. So I just put in a little first, because I want to see how it looks this initial time. And this is the trick about it, is that you kind of play with what you got. So I didn't have much moisture. So what happened now is, after putting in the cornstarch, it's kind of gloopy, like what you sometimes see at Chinese restaurants. So you kind of play with it. What that means is, the trick is, now you add a little bit more water, or like what I'll do is add chicken broth. So this is basically what we're doing, is thinning down the cornstarch that we added, because it was a little bit too much. Now the heat's off, that's why it's not sizzling. The final finishing touch is oyster sauce, which is really the flavor, I think, of beef broccoli. So we put about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons. You know, once you start making this dish a few times, you kind of know, just from experience, how much you need steamed rice. Here's my wok, which is heavy, and we're just going to plate up our chicken and broccoli. There's our chicken broccoli with mushrooms. Enjoy!